School may be out for the summer, but the work to make sure there are enough teachers for the fall is underway. Right now, the shortage has the Quebec government offering lump sum payments of $12,000 to teaching staff eligible for retirement if they volunteer to remain on the job full-time for the 2023-2024 school year. Catherine Hogan, a frequent Big Five contributor and a high school teacher at Westwood Senior High in Hudson, is on the line to talk about this and more. Catherine, welcome back to the show.
Good morning.
First things first, I've never asked you this. Are you related to Hulk Hogan anyway? Have you gone to Ancestry.com and gone up the chain and realized there's some connection?
Yes, absolutely. Can't you tell?
I know, that's why I ask, because you always bring it. Okay.
Thank you.
Catherine, let's talk about the situation in schools. Now,
Yes.
I hear this $12,000 if you're eligible for retirement, but you stay back. I know you're a spring chicken. You're not there yet. But are there, do you have colleagues that are in this boat that are seriously considering this lump sum payment?
Well, sure. I mean, I'm closer than you probably think I am to retirement. But yes, I mean, of course, this is on the table and we're hearing about it, but it's sort of a bit of a false promise because they're willing to throw down a lump sum, but yet, basically they're putting in the money that they're going to pull from the pensions as well because unfortunately, the government kind of believes that we're retiring too early, right? But instead of adopting measures to induce workers to stay, what we're getting is the government is choosing to sort of penalize those workers by pulling back on the pensions if they retire earlier. So basically, the $12,000 lump sum will simply compensate for what people are going to lose in their pensions if they go earlier.
So let's get down to that because it does seem to me that there is a dollar amount, and if you can remove the clawback of pensions, right, that makes it there is a dollar, or there's a way of doing this where you believe a lot of teachers would say, yep, I will stay on.
No, I don't think so, actually, because, of course, it'll be taxable as well. And I don't think that the compensation is there because what's not being discussed is things like class compensation and workloads. Those are all still going to remain the same. So I don't think that the money that teachers will be receiving in order to stay in will compensate for what they're dealing with in the class as well. I just don't think that it's an offer that's going to be lucrative enough that people are going to want to stay when they're tired and needing to retire. And that's, I think, another one of the problems that we're looking at is this money should be going into retaining the teachers that we have, bringing in new young teachers, people with energy and enthusiasm for the profession, rather than trying to keep in teachers as long as they possibly can, because these teachers, have worked hard their whole entire careers. They're ready to retire. And for some reason, like for some classrooms, it's better to have, younger, more dynamic teachers sometimes coming in.
So let me ask you this: it seems like you're saying there are some issues with the work the work conditions for teachers, right? Is that a problem? Is this the same problem from 15 years ago, 20 years ago, or is it getting worse?
I think if you were looking at class composition, I think that the needs in the classroom are increasing with every year, and as well our numbers in our classes are increasing every year. So those things are becoming, I think, more difficult than what we saw 15 years ago. So the composition of our classes is becoming more difficult to teach. And so that's where people are, saying, okay, I'm looking closer to retirement or wanting to finish up. Whereas in the past, people did go longer, I would say, than their 35 years because the class composition was easier and the workloads were easier to deal with at the time. They're certainly much more complex now.
We're with Catherine Hogan, high school teacher at Westwood Senior High in Hudson. Having said all that, Catherine, you still do it. And, there's so many teachers that I know, they do it and they love their job. So there's got to be a reason. I mean, there's got to be plenty of reasons why teaching is still a great job.
There are plenty of amazing reasons why teaching it is an excellent, excellent job. But we need the government on our side. You know, the salary offer for public sector workers is 9% over 5 years. And really, that's just, it's not acceptable. It's not moving with inflation. And I think teachers are looking now, at least going into this round of negotiations, to be treated as the professionals with multiple university degrees that they are. And I think that, you know, if they want to keep us in the profession and they want to keep young and dynamic teachers in the profession, they need to be looking at the elements that we are screaming to the government to look at and to understand. They need to listen to us on the ground because we know what a school looks like on the day-to-day.
The National Assembly recently voted themselves a 30% pay increase. That includes the government, the CAQ, plus the official opposition. The Liberals were also on board with that 30% whopper of an increase. With what you just said about the offer that they've made to public sector employees, and then you see they've voted themselves a 30% increase. Do you think that could lead to major strife, work action in the future, strikes, that kind of thing?
Yes, I think it will. I think the fall is going to be a difficult time. It seems right now that the government is at an impasse with the negotiators at the table and that they're just coming at it they're on completely different pages at this point. So I think the impasse will come to light in the fall, and I think we will begin to see more actions coming from the public sector workers coming into the fall and into the winter.
Just, do you think, you know, if they hadn't given themselves a 30% increase, let's say they gave themselves a 10% increase, do you think that would change the tone from you and your fellow public sector employees?
I mean, I think to a certain extent, we all realize that there's a tightening of a belt everywhere in every sector, right? So we're not oblivious to that. But I think just some good middle ground from this government would help. If they're not going to address the salary concerns, then please address the class composition concerns and the workload concerns and what's being asked of teachers. I think if there was some negotiation on one side or the other, I think that we would feel like we were in a bit of a better position, but it seems like we're really at an impasse in all different capacities with this government. So I think it just stings a little bit more when we see that they've given themselves an increase and are doing very little for the public sector workers.
When I talk to teachers about their compensation, their workloads, I will invariably get a note from a listener bringing up summertime vacation and the benefits of that. So I just why don't you tell our listeners what is summer like for a teacher?
Well, summer for a teacher is twofold, depending on whether or not you are a full-time tenured teacher. If you're a full-time tenured teacher, you get your 10 months of salary paid over 12 months. So there's a paycheck coming in the summertime. That's really helpful. If you are a non-tenured teacher, then that is not the case. So you do not get paid throughout the summer, which is really difficult for young teachers coming in and new teachers coming into the profession who already don't know where they're going to be placed in the fall, but then also have, financial concerns over the summertime as well. So that can be very difficult. I often will say to people, well, anyone could really probably take 6 weeks off unpaid on their job. That's what we have. We're only paid for 10 months, and it's set across 12 months. So, most people can take unpaid vacation. That's basically what we're forced to do because school doesn't run in the summertime. So that's just how it goes. I will say, though, that most of my colleagues are still prepping, planning, and doing all sorts of things throughout the summer because we just have to be ready for the fall. I know I'm prepping a new course right now, and
and that's the thing that I've heard from teachers, like, the prep work that you have to do before, and then you're back in. It's not like you're back in school in September. You get back into the school office when, like in August sometime, right?
Yeah. Usually we go back around the 23rd or so of August, 24th, 23rd, around that time.
Catherine, we're going to leave it there. I want to thank you so much. We'll catch up on the Big Five real soon.
We will.
That's Catherine Hogan, high school teacher at Westwood Senior High in Hudson.